Hello, and thank you so much for downloading LifeLapse. I am so excited for you to unleash your creativity using stop motion video creation. And in this video, I'm going to teach you the 5 steps you need to know on how to create professional looking stop motion videos straight from your phone. Now, if you're not even sure what stop motion is, all it is a sequence of photos stitched together and played as a video. So how we achieve this look in LifeLapse is we take our first photo, and then what you do is you move your object a tiny little bit, take another photo, move the object again, and rinse and repeat until your video is complete. Step number 1 to creating stop motion videos is putting your phone onto a tripod. Now, if you don't own a tripod, please do not worry. I'm going to show you a different couple hacks that you can use with household items. But essentially, you do not want your phone to be moving while you are shooting. And the reason for this is because you want the focus to be on the objects moving around that you're going to be animating with stop motion. You don't want the background to be moving each time too, because it'll look super sloppy, and we don't want that. We want this to be very clean and professional and polished looking. If you don't own a tripod, a couple different hacks that I have is putting your phone into a mug. You might need a sock at the bottom to help you control the tilt. If you are shooting a flat lay video, so you want the camera to be above, shooting straight down, all you have to do is place your phone on the edge of a table, a side table, or a chair. If the legs of the table or the chair are getting into your shot, please do not worry. Place a couple books on top of the chair or table, and then put the phone on the edge of the book. Step number 2 to creating polished looking stop motion videos is lighting. Now, a lot of people love using daylight. Don't get me wrong, I love it too. However, for stop motion, natural daylight isn't your friend, and this is because you want to have very consistent lighting from when you start shooting your stop motion video until the end. So for example, if I'm shooting by a window and I start animating my object and it takes 10 minutes, let's say, when I'm starting shooting, if the sun is out and then by the end it goes behind the clouds, when you play that video back, it's gonna have a bunch of flickering in it, and you don't want that. So to avoid getting this flickering light, shoot with a consistent light source, so one that you know is not going to change throughout the entirety of your shoot. And this can be anything in the house. Try and avoid the window. The only time I do say you can shoot by a window, or though that I recommend, is if it's really cloudy out or really sunny and you know there's not going to be any changes, and if the video is going to be really short. To avoid the flickering light throughout your video, just make sure you're away from the window and you are using a controlled light source. So you could use like a kitchen lamp, for example, and also make sure that you are not moving in front of the light source as you're shooting, because you don't want the shadows moving and interfering with your shot. So now that we have step 1 and 2 with the tripod and lighting out of the way, we are going to go into our third step, which is setting up our interval timer. To avoid moving the phone, I do recommend using the interval timer or a Bluetooth remote. The Bluetooth remote function is a pro version of the app, so if you don't have a remote or the pro version, just use the interval timer. All you have to do is enable both timers in the camera, and this will set up your shot to take, for example, a photo every 5 seconds. If you just have the one timer enabled, it will just take one photo 5 seconds from now. But if you have both of them enabled, it will take a photo every 5 seconds, which is what you want. And then after you're done shooting, you can just go through and delete all the shots that, let's say your hand was in as you were setting up the shot. Now, we are almost ready to start shooting. There are just a couple more things in step 4 that we need to do, and then we are off to the races. So step number 4 is your camera settings and your phone settings. So remember, I just said you want to set up the interval timer so that you are not moving the phone. Well, something else you're going to want to do on your phone settings, not in LifeLapse, is to set your auto brightness and lock to never. Because if you are shooting for 10 minutes and you have your auto lock to go on after 30 seconds, it'll stop shooting 30 seconds in. So you can just go into your phone settings and change the auto lock to never, just so that you can let that interval timer take over and get all the shots that you need. So remember in step 2 when I said avoid shooting near a window and use a controlled light source. Now that's all good, but you also have to make sure that in step 4 you lock your auto white balance and your exposure. If you don't lock these, every time you bring in a new object into the frame, it's gonna re-expose and re-white balance the shot. And you're gonna get that flickering light look again, and we don't want that. To recap step 4, since there's a couple mini steps in there, is you wanna make sure your auto lock is set to never using your phone settings. You wanna make sure your auto white balance is locked, and you wanna make sure your exposure is locked to avoid the phone turning off and to avoid flickering throughout your shoot. The 5th and final step to creating polished looking stop motion videos is movement. And the most common mistake I see with people when they're first starting out with stop motion is they make too big of movements in between each shot. I'll overlay a video here so you can see what I'm talking about, but essentially with stop motion, you're gonna take a photo, move your object a little bit, take another photo and move the object, so on and so forth. And when you play it back at a fast speed, that's how it's gonna get that real film look, like it's magic. So the key is to make small little movements, and then when you play it back fast, you can actually see the process and the animation more fluidly. All right, that is it. Those are the 5 steps that you need to know in order to get started with creating stop motion straight from your phone. If you have any questions, please comment below and subscribe to our YouTube channel. If you're watching this on YouTube and you haven't downloaded LifeLapse, please download our app. It is free and we are available on iOS and Android. All right, bye guys.